1480 AM, KLVL Pasadena, 94.9 FM, K235CS Houston,
and 1540 AM, KGBC Galveston, Houston.
I love this station.
Welcome to the No Judgment, Just Realness Zone with Dawn Paul, aka the Dr. Dawn, your certified life coach. And now here's Dr. Dawn.
Y'all see it? Hello, everybody. Hello. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. You know who this is. This is your girl, Dawn Paul, a.k.a. the Dr. Dawn, your certified life coach. And as Dr. Dawn always says, my prescription is my word. You can't get no better medicine than that, especially in flu season, y'all. With that sickness going around. Cover your mouths. Wash your hands. That's another show, though. That ain't what we're talking about, but I thought I'd add that in. Welcome to the No Judgment, Just Realness Zone. And later on in the show, Dr. Dawn will be giving you her Dr. Dawn Daily Dose, and also I will be answering your love and life questions. We got a good question today. But thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening, not only in Houston, but we are now in Louisiana. So thank you, Louisiana, for showing us love. Thank you for listening on the airwaves through your mobile devices. Dr. Dawn will be engaging with you through Facebook Live in a minute, because you know I love your comments. But today is Love Lounge, but I am doing a different Love Lounge show. Guys, the show is When Love Hurts. We are talking about surviving domestic violence. You may be saying, well, Dr. Dawn, it ain't happening in my home. But it could be happening in your church, could be happening to your neighbor, could be happening to that coworker you have lunch with. You never know, because there is not a look to domestic violence. But we're going to get educated, and we're going to have some compassion. Hopefully this show will make you think about domestic violence a little differently. But today we are talking about surviving domestic violence when love hurts. I have some very, very special guests. I know y'all say every Friday, Dr. Dawn, you got special guests. But for domestic violence, I tell you, you had to bring in people who I think have lived it in the past tense. Dr. Lewis is here, who helps clients who are surviving domestic violence. But first, let me do ladies first. Let me go around the circle. Let's just go around the circle. First, we have Miss Diona. How are you, Diona? Miss Diona Clark, founder of Live Out Loud. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me this morning. I am excited about being on this show and just being able to listen to the beautiful guests and things of that nature. It feels good to be in Houston.
All right. Welcome. She is from Ohio, guys. She's getting an award this weekend in Houston. She's being honored for Black Girl Excellence for her work. So, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, honey. I tell you, she looks like Erykah Badu, too. She does. That's what I could have. Look, if I really wanted to plug the show, I would have had Erykah Badu coming on. And I would have had you wear that hat, and nobody would have known.
Well, I need the Erykah Badu money.
Oh, my God. But we have Dr. Shana Lewis, who also is an award recipient. She won an award last night for her work as a doctor. Yes. Awesome. So Dr. Shana Lewis, counselor and founder of Her Voice. We have Miss Nicole Taylor, founder of The Vow program. How are you, Miss Nicole?
I'm doing well. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, she was at the old Dr. Don house, but now she's in the new Dr. Don house. I always like when people appreciated me when I was in the hood. Then I invited to the suburbs. Yeah, that's how you know who down for you. Yeah, she didn't look down on me when I was in my one-bedroom shotgun. Right? Yeah, hallelujah. Thank you. Yeah, testimony. We went from a shotgun house to we moved on up. But thank you. And then representing the men, because, men, this is something they don't talk about. So we have Will So Real Brown. Can I say that?
Yeah,
I love that.
That's fine.
Yes, he's author and he's CEO of IMF Media. He wrote a book. We'll talk about that later. But if you want to call in, you can, 832-230-5592, or give your comments through Facebook Live. Dr. Don will be reading that. But I want to start with you, Nicole, and let's go around. We talk about domestic violence. I'm sorry, Diona, and then we'll work our way around. We talk about domestic violence. The first thing that comes to mind is a woman being beat by a man. Okay, but what do you want people to understand? What do you want people to understand when it comes to domestic violence?
The first thing about domestic violence is, one, it has no race, it has no color, it has no gender. Secondly, domestic violence does not just result in a physical action. It can be emotional, it can be financial, it can be verbal, it can even be emotional. And if you listen to a survivor of domestic violence, they'll tell you the worst abuse is mental abuse. Why? Because it sticks with you. The scars, they heal, they go away, but something mental or emotional, that thing remains in your mind, and it tends to come out in your daily life, in your relationships, in your work environment. People don't see that. They don't see mental is something that we don't see, but those who are affected by it, it stays with us for a very, very, very long time. And to me, it's the most crucial abuse that's out there.
What do you want people to know, Dr. Lewis?
You
What
know,
else?
And that's great. I mean, that was what she said was spot on.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I define domestic violence as a systematic way of destroying a woman from the inside out. Because once you have control of her mind, you can control everything else about her. And she's right. It's not just physical. There's emotional, there's spiritual, there's sexual. There's financial. I mean, when you control every aspect, we have to remember abuse is about coercive control. But I can control all of your actions, all of your thoughts, who you talk to, where you go, what you wear, all the way down to where you work and if you do. So it is definitely coercive control.
You, Nicole?
I would say that domestic violence is all about control. It's just power. They just want to take over your mind. You just like Dr. Shana stated, it's all about control. And if they can take over your mind and your spirit, then they've won. And so a lot of women are secretly suffering. And actually, there's someone that's being abused right now at this very second. So it's important that we discuss these topics.
Yeah. Now, Will, you as a man, what is when I say domestic violence, what do you want people to know about domestic violence?
That it's real. I mean, it's real. It's not okay. I was in a relationship a while back, and to be honest, there are actually women that believe that the more he does this to me, the more he puts his hands on me, the crazier he is, the more in love with me he is. And I watched my mother go through that for years, and she felt that was how my dad really loved her.
Wow. Wow. And Diona and Nicole, I'm going to pose this question to you. Your partner was your abuser. Sometimes it's a generational thing. Did you grow up seeing that abuse in the household?
Absolutely not. My father never touched my mother. My mother never touched my father. So I didn't grow up in that.
You, Nicole?
I didn't grow up seeing abuse, but what I will say is I had daddy issues growing up.
Okay.
My father was not actively in my life. I had a great stepfather, but he was just not, we didn't have that close bond that a father and a child typically have.
Okay. Now, Will, in your case, growing up, your abuser was your father.
Yes.
You know, you grew up in a two-parent household. Your father was a pastor.
Yes.
But in your marriage, you talk about generational curses
Yes.
and how you became your father. So talk
Yes.
about how you not only became your father, but you also became a victim.
Yes.
Yeah.
But known to me, it was, as I say, it was a generational curse that I didn't know of, and I had never had issues like this before, and to find myself looking like my father, not so much the physical, but the verbal, and I think that's the most damaging.
Yeah.
Because all my life I was told, you're not going to be nothing. You soft, you this, you that. And so when you get to a point when you don't know how to express yourself in a relationship, being a man, sometimes we try to be dominant and we say things that we don't mean. And so in my weakest points, I found myself trying to tear my partner down by trying to build myself up. And in doing that, once I became to know Christ, and I began to walk that path, there was a lot of remorse on my part, and so I found myself allowing my wife to run over me, to stab me, to cut me in my face, to do all kind of things, to like put CPS in my, just a lot of different things. And people was like, you need to leave, and I was like, no, I done her so bad. This is God punishing me. This is I deserve this, and I found myself, like I said, being a victim.
And I think we're all saying the same thing. Because, and thank you all for the shares. Thank you, Charlie, for watching. Thank you, everyone. But it's amazing to me, and let's talk to you, Dr. Lewis. Do you think it's more accepting when, or we're not as in, should I say sympathetic, when the woman is the abuser?
Yeah.
do we sometimes see excuses? Well, she's on her cycle. Well, she's a woman. Well, what do you see in that work?
I mean,
in your work?
Absolutely. Here's the thing, because when a man is abused, much of the time he's never going to tell anybody he's being abused, because you have that stigma. Like, I mean, I'm a man's man. That's a woman go, you know. But there are some men in this world, like Will is even sharing, that can be really. I'm talking about a woman. We got a lot of power.
Oh yes.
When it comes to a relationship with a man, when we are perhaps the more emotionally strong person in the relationship, because I've counseled some men who have been destroyed by a woman from the inside out, literally. And again, folks aren't going to look at the woman in the same way, because they're going to think, well, she's weaker than him anyway. I mean, like, he's a man, like, and that's why he's not going to say anything, and that's why she's not going to be treated in the same way he would be if he was the abuser.
Wow. Will, you agree with that? Is
Most
that
definitely. I mean, most definitely. I mean, because it's just that emotional. I think that's really what it is, as Dr. Shana stated. It's the emotional aspect of it, from a man's point of view, as for my experiences. And I say that because I had a business idea, and I went to my wife at the time and I said, you know what? I'm gonna buy a truck and a motorcycle. Okay. Now, as ironic as this, you're like, okay, what does that have to do with anything? When I said that, that was my way of saying, hey, if I'm on a motorcycle, I'm by myself. I'm not associating with those old characters, those old friends. I'll get this truck and I'll start my own business. Yeah. My wife looked at me and she said, a truck and a motorcycle? Negro, what you gonna do with a truck and a motorcycle? You know what you need to be out there doing.
Wow. Yeah. And that is abuse.
Yeah. Oh,
that is a form of abuse.
Yes.
It is a form of abuse. It's not just the physical. That verbal.
Yeah.
Right.
That verbal.
That is, in my office, when people come see me, it's never that they say, well, Dr. Shana, I'm in an abusive relationship. We got communication problems. I'm in a bad relationship. I mean, they don't label it correct. That's part of the issue, Dr. Dawn, is folks are mislabeling what this actually is.
But because they're labeling themselves, right?
Well,
Part
what they're
of it.
saying is they're giving excuses for the behavior. So you don't move, and the way you reconcile what's happening will determine what you do about it. So if I reconcile this as normal, I don't need to do anything. If I reconcile this as she just is on her cycle, or I burnt the chicken, which is why he hit me upside my head, then I don't need to do anything but make the chicken better next time. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So how you reconcile it determines what you do about it.
Absolutely. But we have to ask the $1 million question. I'm going to start with you, Diona, and let's go around. We're going to ask, when someone says, why did you stay? What does that do? Because is that the first common question you all get?
Yes.
Why do you stay? So when someone says, why did you stay? Or why are you staying? What does that question, how does that make you feel? And people, I want you to listen. For those who have not been through domestic violence, we're going to talk also about being insensitive. How we think we're helping, but we're really hurting. So, Diona, how does it make you feel when you hear that question?
I think you said an important word, insensitive, because if you have not been through it or you haven't experienced it, then your first question, the thing that you're first going to go to is, why in the world did you stay? Well, the thing about it is they're forgetting that an abuser may have threatened. You may have threatened and said, you leave me, I'm killing you. And not only am I killing you, but I'm going after our kids and I'm going after your family as well. It may be finances. Now that he has all the control of the money, then how am I supposed to move? How am I supposed to allocate the resources? I'm not resourceful anymore. So therefore I have to depend on this abuser. Children, I want my children to be raised in a two-family home. So a lot of times people don't look at what's behind the reason why a person stays. A lot of times people speak off of their inexperiences of what you experience. So therefore, to me, it's an ignorant statement to be made.
Yes.
Laquita Abrams says yes. Yeah.
Hey, Laquita, how you doing? That's my good friend in Dayton.
Good.
But yes, it's true. It's true. There are so many reasons why a person would stay or a woman would stay in a relationship like that. She's scared. Fear. Fear. That's the biggest thing. I am afraid. I'm afraid of the unknown because I don't know what it is to operate on my own, because I've been under the power and influence of someone for so long. I don't know how to function in society.
A woman commented, Charlie King, she said men stay sometimes too for the children.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have any kids with your
With my ex-wife? Yes, we do. We have 4.
Okay.
We have 4. And I stay. Understand this here. I wasn't always the good guy in the relationship. Yeah. So a part of it for me was, I guess, the remorse, that allowing the church, or should I say religion, to place that burden on me as to, well, hey, you done this, you was out there in the streets doing this, doing that, so now it's time for you to be there for this woman and this, that, and other. But understand, as time goes on, as it was stated earlier, a lot of times the scars are gone, but the emotional scars are still there. Yeah. And so she finds herself lashing out at me, and then I find myself, well, okay, I need to accept that because I remember when I did this, because she'll say that on the regular. You don't remember this? You don't remember that? And so we find ourselves staying, and and as a father who was there for my children from the beginning, I allowed myself and my children to experience something that they should never have experienced because she became so dominant that I became an enabler.
Thank you all for watching. Kenya Nicole, Michael Garza, everyone, thank you for the comments. But Dr. Lewis, being a doctor, thank you. She said thumbs up. Thank you for reading my comment. But Dr. Lewis, when, I know in your work you've heard that. Why did you stay? Why did you stay? We're going to talk, people, about, when we come back, being compassionate. Those of us who have not been victims of domestic violence, we're going to talk about that as well. We're going to talk about how you may be hurting and you think you're helping. Because someone told me, Dr. Don, when you people think they're helping, but they're actually pushing that victim closer to the abuser. We're going to talk about that too. Real Talk, No Judgment, Just Realness. Dr. Don Radio Show.
In 2011, for the first time in history, there were more mobile phones than people in the U.S. If you're a small business owner and you do not have a mobile app, you are losing customers to your competition. I can help you connect to more customers today with your own customized mobile app. This is Darrell Norris, CEO of Fresh Tech Solutions. Let us develop an affordable mobile app for your business. Learn more at freshtechsolutions.com with a Z at the end, or call 713-893-8125.
The Mastermind Hour has come to the Synergy Radio Network. Learn how to unlock old unproductive behaviors, attitudes, feelings, and emotions that no longer serve you. Learn how to improve your leadership and communication skills. This is Chrysoloris Jackson, Mastermind Coach and your host. Learn more at 832-969-5363, 832-969-5363.
Is your business bankable? Do you need a loan to get you to launch your dreams? Experts tell us that 80% of business plans are not acceptable to banks, so they won't get funded. When you develop a plan, you need a blueprint to follow by certified experts. Sign up today for this comprehensive workshop that will help you create a certifiable business plan in just one day. You will leave with everything you need to start getting yeses and turn your business into a reality. Go to ceobusinessplans.eventbrite.com.
All right, everybody. Good morning. Dr. Don Radio Show, where it's no judgment, just realness. Isn't that a great song? I love that song. Good morning, Christopher Stevens. Good morning, Latasha. Laquita, she says, when a person has you mentally, You stay because you feel like you have no control over yourself. Not till you find yourself and leave. Thank you for that comment. And good morning, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Domestic violence, when love hurts. Please share, please like. Thank you all for watching and showing love. But let's talk about when we think we are helping. You may have a friend. Dr. Don has knows people who are dealing in domestic violence situations. Sometimes people you think you're helping your friend, but you're not. You're hurting. Dr. Lewis, how are people? We just talked about why did you stay? Why are you staying? That doesn't help someone in that situation. But how are people hurting and they think they're helping?
Yeah, well, asking that question is hurting, first of all. Let me explain why. Because when you ask her why does she stay, you blame her for what's happening to her. Instead of,
or let's say he.
Or he,
Can
right.
he? See, because, let's say he. No, yeah.
Right, because 100% of my work is with women. So whenever I'm talking, I'm always saying her.
Gotcha.
But absolutely, there are aspects where it can cross over. But what the better question is, why doesn't he stop doing what he's doing?
Love it.
See, part of what happens is women who are in these relationships, and the ladies on the show today can speak to this, will be blamed for what's happening by the abuser, or they take ownership themselves. And so because of that, when you ask her why she stays, you then re-injure her all over again and give her more responsibility. So that's not helpful. You actually just, what is it, cause more pain more injury to what's already hurt. So we can hurt in a lot of ways. Another thing is, if it was me, honey, I couldn't nobody do me. And, I would just walk away, and you don't know what you would do until you were in a situation. So stop telling that lie.
Yeah.
Because can't nobody say what they would do until it was you.
Because I have known the toughest women.
Yes.
And people you would never think, so you really don't know.
Nope.
You really don't know. Nicole, and then Will. How were people thinking they were helping you, but they were hurting?
Just like Dr. Shana said, and just telling you just to leave, because you have to have a plan. So that's what you need to help her with, is help her create a plan. What is an executive plan of how can I get out of this situation and be successful in getting out? Because you can get out and then go back. Because you're pulled back. You don't have a plan. And the thing is families are quick to say, oh, you should leave. Well, are you going to help me when I leave? Are you going to provide me with a place to stay?
Yeah.
Or are you going to be scared when he comes knocking on your door?
Because they will. Sometimes they will. No, Will, I want you to touch on something different. Here you are, a man who has the courage to speak your truth. We don't see a lot of men coming out. So thank you for coming out. But, how has your testimony and using your voice given other men a voice to be courageous and to talk about domestic violence? What are the comments you're getting from other brothers, from other men?
I think there's still a little not resentment, but there's a little hesitation on their part, because again, it's kind of like it's taboo. It's things that we don't really talk about. Some of us actually grew up in that environment, so we think that's the norm. So when I do go places and I do share my testimony, I do share the story, some people they're like, that's what's up, I appreciate you opening up like that. But then some will say, well, you started it. You did this. So it's kind of like I had one friend, he was like, well, sometimes that's the punishment, for your doing in the beginning.
Wow. People, I hope you're listening. Somebody says, so true. Y'all are hitting on those points. Good morning, everyone. This is something I think more people are opening up about. I think the survivors are now opening up. But are you all seeing, and this may be a crazy question, Dr. Don may be crazy for asking this, do you all seeing abusers coming forward and saying, I'm an abuser, I want help? How are y'all seeing that? Dr. Lewis, let me go to Nicole and Will. And then Diona and Dr. Lewis. I say Dr. Lewis for last. Yeah.
I have had people that have reached out to my organization that say, I have been an abuser and I have been reformed. So please don't stigmatize all of us men that we can't change because they're saying that they can be changed. So that's what I've had men reach out to me and
So basically it's to say, don't you, so really it's not to say I want to speak forward, it's more of don't put all of us in that and I've changed. Will, you, I mean, they can change, people can change. Yeah. Will said himself he was the abuser, but he is here today. He's not that man.
Most definitely not. Most definitely not. Yeah, men can change. Well, people
the abuser
can,
can change,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. Yeah,
Right,
the
the
abuser
abuser.
can change. No, I don't really get a lot of people coming forward, guys saying, "Hey, yeah, I was that guy."
Okay.
You know, because a lot of times we don't necessarily believe we're that person.
Right.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. If prime example, most relationships when the abuser does what he or she does, then they come right back and they're sorry, they're
Right,
they're
right.
crying. They
Right.
really don't want to be that way, but for whatever reason, they're that way. So for them to, and it's kind of like a drug addict. They don't really believe that they're an addict until it's shown to them plainly, hey, no, you are an addict. This is really destroying you. This is destroying your house.
Wow. We have a caller on the line. Mark, you're on the air, Dr. John Radio Show. How are you?
All right, good morning. How you doing? I have a question for the doctor. The question I would like to know, what is the worst, is physical, mentally, or verbally abuse when it comes to domestic? Which one is the worst?
That's good, Mark. So he said, is it mental? What do you say, Doc?
Oh, I mean, in my experience on the professional side, the mental abuse is absolutely so much worse than physical abuse, simply because, and I think the young lady to my left, she made the statement earlier, that the wounds from physical abuse can heal.
Right.
The mental abuse, those are wounds that you cannot see, and it can take a lifetime to heal. So where I had a scar that is now gone, the thoughts in my mind about how I see myself, the fact that I have low self-esteem, the fact that I don't love me and I don't think I'm lovable, the fact that I think that I'm worth less, all of those things remain. And it then creates issues in ongoing relationships with other people, whether they're romantic, platonic, familial, it doesn't matter.
Right.
It impacts the way you interact with other people. The trauma changes the way you see yourself, other people, and the world. And so a domestic violent relationship is a trauma, and it is a psychological trauma, even if you never laid a hand on me.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think so, too.
And another thing.
Yeah, quickly.
What I want to say is that in the field that I am in, and when it comes to men, I understand women are being abused, but at the end of the day, after you look at the reports and all this here, men can't accept it or take it as when the women, you're nothing. You can't do this, you can't do that. And at the end of the day, we need to get some type of help, because I can see the pattern.
Right.
And when the man, he has force and power, and he has to understand that. But that's why I asked that question, because it is built up inside of a man, and a woman doesn't know that. At the end of the day, he doesn't open up, and I don't understand why men, most of them never open up, never said anything, that he's being talked down and he's not this and that and he's no good. But at the end of the day, he's physical, he's violent, he's like a lion. You know what I'm saying? When it all just come out at the end of the day. So I just want to just let the women know that don't. Because your son can hear the way you talk to his father.
Oh, yes.
It's just something that I've been dealing with this issue, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong at all, but they tell us sticks and stones may break our bones, but words would never hurt you. Don't believe that.
That's right.
That's a lot to
Hurt.
be told. You're
That's
right
true.
about
Real
that.
hurt.
Right.
You're right.
All right, thank y'all. Y'all have a good morning.
Thank you, Mark.
Definitely.
And I think I love when men call and they comment on these kind of issues. And I think it's right. Sometimes we do, women,
Yes.
need to watch how we talk to that brother. We've heard it today. But Diona, so thank you. And Kenya Nicole has a question. Kenya, her question, Kenya, your question will be Dr. Dawn's Q&A today. I had another one, but we will answer your question, Dr. Dawn, and then with the help of my guest, we will answer your question at the end of the show. You will be our Dr. Dawn Q&A. So thank you all for always submitting questions for the show. But, when we come back, we will continue this conversation on When Love Hurts, Surviving Domestic Violence. Thank you all. Don't go.
Is your business bankable? Do you need a loan to get you to launch your dreams? Experts tell us that 80% of business plans are not acceptable to banks, so they won't get funded. When you develop a plan, you need a blueprint to follow by certified experts. Sign up today for this comprehensive workshop that will help you create a certifiable business plan in just one day. You will leave with everything you need to start getting yeses and turn your business into a reality. Go to ceobusinessplans.eventbrite.com.
We are all on a journey to master our future business family relationships. Ready to unlock unproductive behaviors? This is Chrysoloris Jackson. I am a certified John Maxwell coach and neuro-linguistic practitioner. Join me for my new show, Mastermind Hour, every Thursday at 11 a.m. here on the Synergy Radio Network. Remember, growing is not a goal, but a lifelong process that starts with intention.
Dr. Don. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Dr. Don Radio Show. No judgment, just realness. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for engaging. Kenya Nicole, thank you for your question. Your question will be Dr. Don's Q&A, so stay tuned. At the end of the show, Dr. Don will be answering your question. Hopefully we can give you some truth, wisdom, guidance to help you in that situation. Thank you all. Kenyatta Irvin. She says, I've experienced abuse through manipulation. She watched her mom accept the abuse, verbal, mental, physical. So thank you all so much for sharing. She says because her partner experienced abuse, it became a part of the relationship. Yeah, but we have Cecil on the line, another brother. Cecil, what do you want to say about this conversation?
Yes, I'm old enough to be all y'all's grandpa pretty much.
Oh, okay. All right, Grandpa Cecil. You got some candy? Oh, Papa got $1 and some candy in their pocket. What you got for us, Cecil?
Look here, don't y'all be jealous and hate on me.
No.
Here's the point I'm making. I was told I was fortunate to grow up in a family with a mother and a father and, got a chance to see, what to do and definitely what not to do. And both my father and mother had severe anger management problems, which filtered on down to all 9 of us. However, one thing they did, and one thing they agreed, ain't nobody gonna put their hands on nobody. In other words, my father never hit my mother. My mother never physically hit my father. Now, some of them words that went back and forth truly ought to be outlawed. Yeah. But my point is this. Both of them, and I had to grow up to find out they were wrong, they didn't think there was any such thing as mental abuse.
Wow.
They had,
wow.
I don't care how loud and crazy your daddy talking. I ain't paying attention to that fool.
Yeah.
My daddy's attitude is I don't care how loud and crazy your mama talking. She ain't bothering me. She ain't rattling me. And my mother felt there was no such thing as mental abuse. She said, hell, you ain't mentally weak. You can't be abused.
That's normal. Right? That was normal. And especially in our community. Especially in our community. Well, Grandpa...
Oh, yeah. But again, they from a different era now.
Oh, yeah. But still...
If both of them was living, they'd be 100.
Oh.
So what happened back in the 1920s, 1930s, what they had to do and what they had to go through. So you had to be mentally tough to keep them going crazy, simply going up doing the kind of segregation they had to do. You see what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
But we were taught, I don't care. My sisters were taught, I don't care what that man do. You keep your hands to yourself. As a man, I was taught, I don't care what that woman do. You keep your hands to yourself. And during my young and crazy days, when I was single, I had my windows smashed, my clothes cut up. I've been hit with bricks, baseball bats, and everything else. But I never put my hands on a woman. Never. Never, ever. Of course, if a man had done that, his life was in jeopardy.
Oh, yeah. Well, Grandpa Cecil...
But I think if we could get men and women to just understand, look, I got a couple of daughters, and everybody that never dated, I told them I got one rule: keep your hands to yourself, partner.
Yeah.
If you just keep your hands to yourself, we gonna get along. I don't care how many girlfriends you got. I don't care if we can come home at night. I don't care. Just keep your hands to yourself. Now, I know that's an old, outdated philosophy, but I just want to know what y'all think about it.
Well, Grandpa Cecil, we're going to talk about that. I agree. Keep your hands to yourself.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about the other girlfriend stuff. I don't want my boo dating. Grandpa Cecil, I can't agree with you there. But yeah. But no, I do agree. Men and women, I think, I mean, what do y'all think? I think we do. It was a different time then, but still we're dealing with it now today, guys. Diona, you first.
When I go out and I talk to young girls, I always say, no boy's hands belong on you.
Right.
None whatsoever.
Right.
Pulling your hair. You guys think it's cute that he pulls your hair, that he taps your behind, but what you're missing is you're actually opening up a door for when you become a grown woman. You're used to a man putting his hands on you anyway. So you're setting yourself up for domestic violence. No man is to touch you in any way. No boy. Right. No boy whatsoever. And now, because we're in a different world, I even tell the boys, no boy should be putting his hands on you, because boys liking boys and girls liking girls. And if we read the statistics right, it happens way more in homosexual relationships than it does in heterosexual. But I always give them the message, as a young girl, no boy puts his hands on you. That's how we were raised. To this day, I don't let nobody touch my face. My mother said, don't let nobody touch your face. Don't do that, because you're not going to keep putting your hands in my face, and then you slip up, you smack me. No.
And I teach my boys to keep their hands to themselves. Right. And I talk about, they know about domestic violence, of course, because they've seen what I've gone through.
Right.
But it's important just even to teach boys how to express themselves. That's, because that's one of the things that we don't do. We tell boys when they want to lash out, if they're too emotional, man up. We want to teach our boys to man up. But then when they start hitting, it's like, whoa, what are you doing? Yeah. Teach them how to use their words, and that's one of the things that we need to do.
Grandpa Cecil, thank you for always calling. And give me that. Look, you still owe me $1 and a stick of gum. Papa's always got gum and candy for the grandkids. But thank you all for your comments.
Can I add something?
Absolutely.
Dr. Don? One of the things that I think is so important, we have to understand that the issue of domestic violence is rooted in society, philosophy. It has religious roots in some places. It's very deep, and it goes all the way back to what you were just saying about, you have little boys on the playground, and if the boy hits a girl, they say he likes you. So there's this mentality that we have allowed to be okay from very young ages that has sent the wrong message. And so it really boils down to a family violence issue, which is why everybody needs to keep their hands to themselves, which is very true. And we need to speak kindly to each other. And learn how to manage conflict more, deal with those things as well.
It's good.
It's good. Yes. I tell you, Grandpa Cecil, baseball bats and bricks. Well, that's another show. Grandpa, honey, what was he? Yeah.
I like that.
He had them women hot. When you throw a brick for you. Grandpa, that's another show. Grandpa Cecil.
I'll be on that
one. Did you wheel? You had flashbacks.
Plenty pictures. I mean,
wow.
Yeah, I couldn't keep a new car.
Oh, wow. My goodness.
Let's talk about healing, though, because it's easy, and I want to start with you, Will, and let's work our way around to you, Dr. Lewis and Diona. Here we are in a place where you have to heal. You have a lot of people who have not healed from domestic violence, still generational curses going on. You may have somebody who's in that situation right now, and let's be honest about it, and just cannot leave, or they're scared. What is, you can pray, and I believe in prayer. I'm a Christian. I don't waver from that. But faith without works is dead, people.
Done.
You have to take action. You need to see a counselor.
Right.
A reputable. Reputable is always what Dr. Don says.
Not your home girl.
No. And your auntie drinking her scotch, giving you advice. No. That's not it. Or somebody you find off Instagram who claims to be, but that's another show for another time. But let's talk about, you can pray, but talk about those action steps that you guys took to heal. And you're still healing. Is it an everyday process?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Start with you, Will.
Well, first thing, as you said faith without works is dead.
Yes.
So that in itself speaks volume, because that means, in order to know what that means you have to be operating in a spiritual realm. And the healing must begin within the inside first. Right. And so for me, it was surrendering my all to God. Because I had to see who I really was, who I really had became, because you can't admit the wrongs until you admit who you really are, how far you've allowed the enemy to take you down that dark road, because you can't get help unless you first get to a hospital.
Right.
And so once you get there, then you get your diagnosis, and they say, well, this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is what you need to get it fixed. And so in that is where the healing begins, and it's not a quick fix. You can't put a Band-Aid on, like in my situation, 43 years of abuse. You know, that's, you know, like with my fiance, it's like we get into it, we have these disagreements, and she has to say, well, I understand. That's your daddy talking right now. You see? And so, you know, and as time went on, we don't have those kind of conversations anymore. But for a long time, I was not able to hold myself together in a stable relationship. I was always running from relationships because whenever it got bad, I would be like, okay, let me move around because I don't want drama. I don't want to be fighting. I don't want to be fussing. And I most definitely don't want to be here. So I would miss my blessings sometimes because I wasn't trying to deal with that.
That's good. Thank you for sharing that. Nicole, let's talk about your healing. You're praying, but I mean, you have the VOW program.
Right.
You're helping others heal. But talk about your healing process.
So in healing, I had to first learn to love myself, to value myself, and to put me and my children first. And so that was just healing in itself, and I had to get therapy. And I had to work with other organizations like Her Voice, and now I am my sister's keeper in my own organization, and reaching out to the public and helping others. Because in helping others, you're actually helping yourself. Because you're saying, hey, I see that there's a problem. Let's fix it.
Yes. I like that, and I like that you all are paying it forward.
Right.
Because sometimes things happen to us, not for us, and it may seem crazy.
Yes. Oh, yes.
But to help others. Dr. Lewis, we're talking about healing.
You know, I as a professor, as a researcher, I've really made it my business to be entrenched in the community because I don't have lived experience. But what I've learned from the women that I've worked with, and I had a study that was actually published, and we talked about how women actually heal and recover. What I learned was that women have to put their lives back together, piece by piece. Because when I said earlier, domestic violence is a systematic way to destroy her from the inside out. Just think of shattered on the floor. So to put all that back together, you just can't do that, you know, poof, and it's there. So there's the counseling. There's the, for some women, it's career help. For some, it's, you know, they need help with their children. There's the spiritual aspect to it. It's so multifaceted. And, you know, what Will was talking about, the psychological impact of it lasts for years and years and interrupts other relationships and will replay itself over and over again. Because I've had women who were abused in a former relationship turned into be abusive in a renewed relationship because they said, I'm going to tell you what's not going to happen this time. And so that ends up, it's a cycle. And so you have to get help. So one of the things that I did to help be a part of the solution was create my organization, Her Voice, which is a nonprofit organization that's dedicated to empowering survivors of domestic violence through mentorship and education. So what we do is, it's a mentorship program like Big Brothers Big Sisters, where women who have been in these relationships and out of them for more than 2 years can then mentor women who are recently coming out of them.
Oh, that's great.
And I did that because women who have lived experience are a greater influence and help to each other than I could ever be.
Amen.
Because I don't have, it's like AA.
Right.
You don't understand my plight.
Yeah.
And I don't, but I want to create a platform I could put them together.
That's
so
great.
they can empower each other.
I love that. That is great. Diona?
My healing definitely came through counseling. When I first got out of my relationship, my mother noticed that I was in a state of depression. I didn't. All I did was stay in my room and I read self-help books. So when she did make the suggestion of me going to see a counselor, I went to my counselor, and the funny thing, y'all, was I literally regurgitated to my counselor everything that I had soaked in from the self-help books. And what she said to me was, wow, you seem as if you're okay. You're talking fine. You seem good, and everything to me seems all right with you. That to me was, I was okay. So that was my last time. That was the last time that I saw that counselor. And then when I moved to Columbus and I started working as a social worker, I started dealing with families that was involved with domestic violence. And so triggers start to happen. And I fell back in my work, and I would skip visiting some of those people, some of those families that dealt with what I had went through. And so I had to talk to my supervisor and tell her, hey, you know, this is what's going on. And so she suggested that I go see a counselor. Went to that counselor, And that counselor was okay, but I needed somebody to go through the trenches and where I went through, where I was, to be able to pull that out. And so I was referred to another counselor, and this lady specialized in trauma. She specialized in exactly what I needed. And so when I went to her, she did a process with me, and through that process, I can't say I totally was okay and I was healed, but I was better than what I was before. And through my experience, I created Live Out Loud Enterprises, which is a nonprofit organization that raises awareness of domestic violence in the community for women and girls. But we also do promote healthy self-esteem, because to me, that's the root. Right. That's the root. If our faith increases by hearing, switch that around. If we continue to hear somebody downing us and talking about we're no good, then guess what? That's who we become. Right. So through our workshops, we make sure that we empower these girls and we empower these women to be able to, just face community as a whole. In my book, I want to kind of go back to, are we helping or are we hurting? Yeah. In my book, I talk about support systems, and I talk about how we in the community, we have to be a positive influence for those that are involved in domestic violence, because who knows that survivor that goes to you, that's in that relationship, you're imparting something positive in them, then they go back to that negative relationship, and they come back to you as positive, and they go back to that negative. Who knows that positive that you're imparting in them is something that's breaking them when they're in that relationship or they're in that environment, and they're able to loose themselves from that. We gotta have a system. We gotta have a support system, and that's a good concept that you have as far as the mentoring.
I think that's good, but I also think, and now that you all are talking, family members who have loved ones or people who have loved ones going through it, how do we help? That's something else you all might want to add. You think you're helping, but you are hurting. Hopefully people are listening. Will, quickly, hold up the book. I want everyone to get your information before we go to Dr. Don's Q&A and Daily Dose. And you got it in the plastic,
Yes, it's in the plastic.
Like grandma's couch. Don't touch it.
Don't touch it.
Don't sit on it.
I know it's crispy. What we have here is Baby Bird, Mother Knows Best. It is a children's book about the real world. It is an opportunity for parents to get back to that bonding time with their children. When's the last time a father or mother actually sat down and read a book to their children? So it does that, as well teaches a lesson, because the story about Baby Bird, without giving you the whole story, is as our grandmothers and mothers used to say, you growing up too fast. You too big for your britches. And the story about Baby Bird is he sees the world. He sees the big birds flying. He sees the other birds catching their worm. He's tired of eating mom's chewed up worm. So he wants his own. And so he goes out because he thinks he's grown, and he falls. And the thing about, we know when birds fall, most of the time.
Well, darling, sum it up quickly. We don't. He's giving. What is the website? Where can I have to split you up, darling? Yes, I'm sorry.
No problem. Baby, you can go to.
You're turning the baby bird into an eagle. We can't. I don't need it full blown right now. We got it. Come on. Give us the website.
Go to babybirdbook.com.
Okay. Thank you, Nicole. I'm sorry, darling.
So you can find My Vow Now. We're on Facebook, Twitter, any media outlet. We can be found at My Vow Now. And what we do is we work with women and families that have been impacted by domestic violence, and we fight for the silent victims of domestic violence, the children, because a lot of people forget about the children. They see, they hear, they feel it. So, My Vow Now, please.
My Vow Now, please. Dr. Lewis, quickly, where can we find you?
You can visit on her-voice.net, www.her-voice.net. And we have an event tomorrow. It's Her Sister's Keeper, which is the Women's Empowerment Conference, our first one. Any woman, you do not have to be a survivor of domestic violence to attend this event or be in the group. It's a membership for women. $35 investment. You get a year membership, and you get an amazing conference with some great things. Tomorrow, 11 o'clock. her-voice.net. That's where you can go to get those registrations.
Can't miss that. Diona, quickly, darling, where can we get find you?
You can find me at www.liveoutloudforyou. That's LOV. I'm sorry, that's LIVOUT. LOUD, the number 4, the letter U.org, or you can hit me on Facebook, Diona Clark, Instagram, Diona Live Out Loud.
Yeah. Look, people, I've tagged everybody. you want to know more, click on them and find out. But they really much explain. Will was about to give us. He took us from baby bird to grown bird. On the baby bird. And let me tell y'all
know I
some
can
of them from Big Bird. Let them buy the book and read it. You giving them all. They ain't got to buy it now. But today's question, Dr. Don Q&A, if you want to send me your question, either you can send it live while I'm talking on Facebook or the THEDRDAWN at gmail.com. Kenya Nicole, her question is, and I'm going to go around and ask my guests because I like my guests to weigh in because people, I believe, experiences also encourage people who send in the questions. So she says, what about an emotionally unstable, mentally abusive relationship? She was with a narcissist. She left the relationship. But now she is struggling to co-parent. So how does she co-parent and protect her peace without depriving her son of the relationship with his father? So quickly, Will, what do you say to that?
Dr. Shana, as she said, counseling. Most definitely, you should seek help. Most definitely.
Nicole?
I would reach out to facilities similar to like DePelchin or Legacy Community Center or Living Well, Dr. Shana's practice, because these kids need to have their fathers in their life. So if you can find someone that can be that median, that person in the middle, to bridge that gap.
Yeah. Dr. Lewis and then Diona, quickly, what do y'all think?
Definitely counseling obviously is an objective as well. But if the father is, verbally abusive or something to the child and there's a concern about that, there are ways to get supervised visits for those parents. So there can be a relationship, but it can be one that's supervised. And there's organizations that can do that for you.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Dr. Getting supervised visits so that someone can oversee it, and therefore eliminating mom and then counseling.
Dr. Don says, and I find a lot of people have that. They're like, Dr. Don, he was not a good husband, but he has a great relationship with the children. So how do I forgive and how do I move forward and not deprive my children the relationship with the father? We need to stop being shameful, of course, first of all. Thank you, Kenya, for putting this out publicly. Counseling, reputable counseling, all three of you together. And if he's not open to that, you can't control what other people do, but you can control yourself. You need counseling for yourself, Kenya, to get peace, to help you, because he's going to have a relationship with his father. Because that is so important. But he needs counseling. The child, you can't do anything about your ex, but you can control your peace. You have to have peace. You need to definitely talk to somebody. We have Dr. Lewis here. She deals with those kind of situations.
Absolutely.
And she can definitely help refer your son, to help you all. But definitely if it's a situation where it was abusive, it might need to be some supervised visitation. But what you don't want is to keep your father from his son.
Yes.
Because then, Dr. Lewis, am I right? They may start resenting you.
Oh,
right.
They'll blame mom.
They'll blame mom.
They will.
But counseling people is the word of the day.
Yep.
I will pray over that. And when I tell you all I'm going to pray over you, I mean that. So when you I'll pray over that. But I also pray healing process for you, Kenya. Get counseling. Don't wait. And you are not the only woman dealing with this. You are not the only woman dealing with this, sister. So I'm praying for you right now in the name of Jesus. I'm praying peace. I am praying healing over this situation. I am praying over your ex. I am praying over your ex. I am praying that this generational curse is broken so your son does not continue that behavior that the ex is. So we've got to pray for that. But counseling for you, counseling for your son. And we will pray over this situation, but you've got to get reputable people. Because that is so important. Licensed.
Professional counselor.
Because let Dr. Don tell you this, and I'll say it. I am a certified life coach, but we do not deal with those deep-rooted issues. And I am being responsible in my life coaching. Saying that. I'm going to send you to Dr. Lewis.
That's good.
If it's some deep-rooted issues, Dr. Lewis needs to handle that. Now, people can say what they want, Dr. Don, you're ruining our life coach business. I don't care. You shouldn't be dealing with the deep-rooted issues. You need to go to a counselor and a therapist.
That's true. Refer.
So I'm not going to be irresponsible with this. So I have to say that.
That's good.
And that's real talk, and that's the truth. I don't care what you see on television. But we have to be responsible with this because I always want people to get help who specialize in this. So I'm praying family. Family is so important. But my Dr. Don Daily Dose today is he plays the music. to take me out. That's my Dr. Don Daily Dose. We have to watch our words. The tongue, as it says in the word, can either harm or it can hurt. Make sure you never know your words could harm or could hurt somebody. You don't know what somebody is going through. Like I always say, my prescription is my words for a reason. Make sure your words are healing, not hurting people. Let's be sensitive. Let's be compassionate to one another. You don't know what people are going through. You never know if your words, you may be that only hope. Somebody may be wanting to commit suicide, but because you said something ugly.
Yeah.
Or it could help them heal and go get counseling.
Absolutely.
But I tell you, we have to watch what we say. We just have to watch what we say. That's another show. It's always 50 shows in one show, I tell you, but we've got to watch our words. I want to thank Diona Clark for coming here, darling.
No problem.
I want to thank... what you doing over there? Texting? Yeah. Texting Eric Badu. I want to thank Dr. Lewis. I want to thank Nicole Taylor. And I want to thank Will So Real with the bird. Hold it up. Hold the bird up.
And the baby bird.
And buy the book. He was about to give it away.
For the baby bird.
Yeah, for the baby bird. Mother knows best. God bless you all. Thank you all for what you're doing to raise awareness. Thank you for the love. And thank you to the sponsors who support Dr. Don. God bless. Have a good weekend, guys. Love you. Dawn Paul, a.k.a. the Dr. Dawn, is a certified life coach, and she is not a licensed medical professional. Should you need